If you create the type of videos where you do a lot of overhead shots, something like this, well, then you're going to need a different type of a setup. You're not only going to have a camera that's in front of you, but you also need an overhead camera. CZUR Tech actually has an option for you where this camera is mounted on your table through a stand, and then because of its built-in riser, allows you to have that camera pointing downwards or even facing in front of you, depending upon the kind of view that you're looking for. As I open it, I love this case. That sound I'm not a fan of, but I love this case. This thing is going to be really, really wonderful to travel with. Okay, there you go. You can see that this is a stand and there's a computer camera on the end. Or essentially, it looks like this. Now, this is obviously an upper view, but it's going to sit like this on your table and this arm comes out. Now, what's really cool is it looks like this guy can be raised up as well. Now, in this view, you could see I've got the base over here and a horizontal arm and then the camera head itself. Now, I can do many different things with this. So for example, if I wanted to be in front of the camera and it's looking at me, I can move the arm this way, or I can angle it any way from all the way looking almost upwards to looking directly downwards. Now, this vertical arm over here raises the camera to as low as 12 inches to as high as 15 inches high. And if I needed to, I could also loosen this little button over here, this knob over here, and I could lower the arm so that I could store it this way, or if I needed to change and maybe bring that camera even lower for closer view of whatever I was going to be recording. Now, in terms of weighting, I definitely see that it's generally stable. The base has a little bit of weight to it, but not a significant amount. Now, let's take a quick look at the top of the camera itself. You can see here that there is this ability for me to turn this camera 90 degrees. So if I need to change the orientation of the camera itself, I can easily do that this way. Now, it's a nice feel. This is not cheap feel at all. It's a nice high touch feel to that. Now, in the top right of your screen over here, this is the physical button itself. This is actually the output from this CZUR camera. As you can see here, I'm taking a look at this white piece of paper. What do you think about the quality? Let me know in the comments below. In the center option here is an autofocus or manual focus button. So for example, if I wanted to leave it in autofocus, I could do this and I could move something up very, very close, and you can see that the focus automatically shifts and changes. But you may or may not want that. You might want to have better control. So if you do want that, then what you're going to do is you're going to switch this down to manual focus, and you'll see that this paper is in focus, but when I move it closer, it is not in focus. This allows you to have greater control, and all I have to do is hit this bottom button over here to trigger the manual focus to say, all right, now we're focused here, but not on this down over here. That is a really, really cool function. Now, I'm using my studio lights, as you can see, and everything is generally good because the lighting on my table is lit up properly. However, I'm going to switch this now and enable or turn on the light on the camera itself. So now down here, you can see my hand is lit. That is the light, so that if you do not have enough light on your desktop, you can see that. Now you can see the reflection inside of the tabletop itself. So I'm just going to move it over. You can see that a little bit of reflection is happening. So you want to make sure that the item that you're looking at on the overhead is not highly reflective. Now, if you want to brighten it or change the brightness of this light itself, you're going to hit this top corner button here, and it goes between off, low, medium, and high, and then off as well. So you can see even at high, the exposure adjustment does change things around a little bit so that whatever you're looking at is still properly exposed. Now, speaking of exposure, you've got a couple of buttons over here as well, and you can decrease the exposure or you can also increase the exposure. So if, again, it depends on what you are looking at, you may want to make some adjustments depending upon the light itself. So if this is off, you could manually change the exposure to increase that over here and then also decrease that exposure. So you have those cool options too. Now, let's say, for example, you put this camera on one side of your table and it's not exactly the right direction. It's maybe upside down. Well, you have this option over here, which allows you to flip the image. So you don't have to physically move the device itself. You can simply just flip the image. And sorry, by the way, this view over here is upside down. It's just because I have this on this one side of my table and the USB cable is not long enough. But this little blue light over there, that actually is the 6 o'clock position or the down position. So just keep that in mind. This is what the camera looks like on the piece of white paper. Now I'm going to grab my phone because a lot of people are looking at their phones sometimes, and you can see here I've got brightness set around 40% or so, and it actually, the exposure is very, very good. Again, so you've got the autofocus and you can kind of see it hunting every so often. So what you might want to do is go to manual focus and then click that focus button. Now it's not going to do that focus hunting. So if you are showing digital devices with screens, you can see here that this device is really well catered towards the exposure or the proper exposure of these displays and screens. As you can see, my iPhone here is very, very, very crisp. Now, if you wanted to use this as a webcam, you can do that as well. Simply just take this arm and move it upwards. So all of a sudden I can switch over to this scene. Now you can see the video is sideways. So I can go ahead and grab the camera head and move it 90 degrees. So now you can see the video coming out of this camera. So if you wanted to use this for multi-purposes, not just an overhead camera, but a main camera, you could quickly and easily do that with this device. And look at that, I just found another use of it. I'm not using it necessarily as the camera, but it's a little bit of a light on my desk. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment below. Let me know what your thoughts and feelings are on the quality of this camera and how you can utilize this in your productions. All right, other than that, I want you to go ahead and click on this playlist over here where I talk about a bunch of other different technology, cameras, and microphones that you're going to probably want to know about inside of your productions. All right, I'll see you guys later.